strategies followed personally to own multiple properties in Australia?
This is a good question. In outside of super, it's probably easier because if you have one property with like a which has built equity, then you can use that equity to buy another property. Whereas in a self-managed super fund, generally the way it works is that each property is treated as an individual entity. So banks lend only for that property. So if you build equity on that, you cannot show that to buy another property within self-managed super fund. So there is a bit of a challenge there. So for that reason, you have to build or new amount enough to buy another property. So this can be challenging, so it makes it a bit difficult to buy the second property. But somebody who's determined, who is able to put after-tax money, for example, or able to put maximum contribution between the members of the SMSF, they should be able to build enough to buy a second property. But as I mentioned, you can't just leverage the equity on the first property to buy a second property. So that's something you have to keep in mind. Yeah, but you can do it. I've done it. I've got 4 properties now. It is possible, but it will not be as easy as buying outside of SMSF. That's the difference. My strategy is to make sure, what I've noticed is a lot of people do not know about the maximum amount of amount which can be contributed at a lower tax bracket. This 15% is a fantastic tax bracket. So I've seen people not contributing on their own. They just live at whatever the employer is paying. Say for example they're on $100,000, the employer will be putting currently $10,500. So apart from that, they don't put anything on their own. So they try to invest their after-tax money somewhere else. The chances are they would have paid tax on that money already, maybe 32% or whatever is the tax bracket. So even if it earns 10%, it is still like, when you look at the benefit within the SMSF, you're paying a 15% tax as opposed to your 32%. So you're saving there like 17% difference already. So even if it doesn't make any money at all in SMSF or in super, you're still saving like 17% because of the tax benefit. So what I was a bit surprised was a lot of people are not doing that. So they only just leave whatever is the employer is giving and they don't do anything more. My strategy is to make sure the members contribute whatever maximum allowed so that they get the lower tax bracket benefit within the self-managed super fund, or in general super, it's not specific to SMSF. So they get that benefit of maximum amount going into the super fund at a very low tax bracket which is given by the government. Government is encouraging people to contribute so that when during the retirement stage they're all comfortable, they don't depend too much on the government, and also they don't have to sacrifice on their lifestyle. So I would say make that as a strategy to make sure you contribute maximum into the super. That way you're taxed at 15%. If possible, you can contribute after tax money as well. So I always contribute some amount after tax as well to grow my fund at a better rate, so that I can buy a property sooner. So if there are 4 people, if they just say for example they're all getting $10,500 from the employer, that's $42,000 per year. So if they do the maximum contribution of $27,500, that's times 4. That's like $100,000+ in 1 year. So if they do that for 2 years, then they can easily buy another property. So that should be the strategy to grow it. Of course, I agree, individual circumstances are different. They may not be able to put money into the super, that's a different story. But I've seen many people who have capacity, but they try to grow it outside of super. So that's a little bit surprising for me. So strategy, my recommendation would be to sort of grow within super because it's at a much lower tax bracket. The other good thing is once they become positive and start contributing back the properties then again that income also is taxed at a 15% bracket as opposed to if you're on a 42% bracket. So your money the income from the property or any other assets will also be taxed at a higher rate. So that's the big difference. So here you'll be taxed at 15%, which is fantastic. So I think it's a very good thing to contribute as much as you can and keep an eye on what's happening within your super.